Hello, and welcome back to It's Not Just a Tuesday, the podcast where we talk about work and life and the stories that connect all of us. I am so excited for today's guest. I'm going to let her introduce herself. I just realized that I did not again ask how to properly pronounce your name. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself in a minute. But I'm so pleased that you are spending some time with us, and I can't wait for more people to hear the incredible journey that you've had of self-discovery and kind of finding your passions and work. So welcome.
Thank you, Andrea. And my name is Sucheta Rawal. I am a food and travel writer by day, but then I also do a lot of other things that are connected to food and travel writing.
Love it.
I have a series of children's books that teach kids about different cultures. And I also started a nonprofit, which is called Go Eat Give, through which I encourage people to travel more meaningfully and more sustainably.
So
And
cool.
I do a lot of talking events, speaking events. I've done 3 TED Talks, but everything I do is around storytelling.
That's amazing. I know when we connected, and it sounds like I think we've followed each other for a long time and just hadn't ever talked. And so I was really glad when you reached out because as storytelling is something that we both think is really crucial to all of life. And I was when we talked last, I was thinking about it afterwards how I'm envious of the ability to really craft your love of writing into this entire beautiful, or your love of writing and travel really into this entire beautiful career and journey. So tell us a little bit more about, or tell me a little bit more about like how you started. Like what was your growing up journey that got you to into, writing and all of that?
Well, Andrea, I always loved to write, but growing up in India, I never thought writing was a career. It was just a hobby, something you did in your spare time. So, if you're familiar with Indian culture, we are trained to study to be a doctor, engineer, worst case, investment banker.
Worst case.
So, that's what I did. I studied finance, got my degrees in master's degree in finance, and then I started working in investment banking. But I was always writing on the side.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was something you did for fun. So I wrote for my university newspaper.
Okay.
And then after I graduated, I started writing for a local magazine, doing restaurant reviews.
I love it.
And it was just something for fun where I got to try different restaurants. I was going to go to them anyway
Right.
because I love to eat and try different cuisines. So I was just writing a review for them once a month,
Okay.
and then started to write about my travels, which I was traveling for fun again. The having the investment banking job allowed me the means to be able to travel internationally.
Awesome.
And I would start writing a blog or sharing with my friends on where I had been and the kind of trips I was doing, and came to be known as the travel desk at work. So more and more people were reaching out to me to share my stories and
Right.
help them and plan their trips, which were slightly different from what you find online, the cookie cutter trips.
Okay.
I was doing a lot of volunteering when I would travel. I did some solo trips, and then also indulging more in the community wherever I visit.
Yeah.
So it kind of started very organically. I never thought I would want to be a travel writer. In
Hmm.
fact, I didn't even know one. It was just something like, wow, these people, they have a living. Their career is in
Right.
food and travel. This
Right.
sounds like a dream job,
Yeah.
but it does exist. And I found it, made it my own work. And I've been doing it for 15 years. So it definitely works.
That's amazing. I know it does always, my son, we talk about those like dream jobs. He's 10, so he thinks about all the big stuff he wants to be. And so it's, travel writer in my mind, or just professional writer at any standpoint, to me is like, I want to be in the NFL. You know, like there's a lot of people who want to do that who won't get to that level where it sustains their career. But I do think that takes a type of person who has a tenacity to keep going and to do different things and kind of diversify your life portfolio, I think is what's so important about that. So when were you kind of making the shift from working still and letting that fuel your dreams to actually shifting it so that the dream was also the work?
Yeah, so it was in my late 20s, early 30s when I realized that, yes, I'm good at my corporate job. I can continue with it for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to be truly happy doing it.
Yeah.
So that was a shift. And I started to kind of dabble into doing more writing. I switched to from a full-time job to doing more contracting, consulting. So then I can take a project for 3 months, make enough money to pay bills, and then take a month off and travel and write.
Gosh, I love that. That's so, I mean, that is like, that's daring, right? That's that tenacity part that I think a lot of us don't get to. For me, going out on my own and working for myself and doing that, I talk about that a lot, that it's risky. It's
Yeah,
certainly, but it's that value of what my life will look like.
yeah,
It sounds like you kind of, it's like the risk is worth it if you
sure.
know that you're going to enjoy some things.
Yeah, and what you said, perseverance is everything. I
Hmm.
have had so many people who come to me and say, I want to be a writer or I want to do what you're doing, but they may go on one trip or try it out for a few months and then decide, no, this is too hard. It doesn't pay enough.
Yeah,
I need a stable career. I need to be knowing where my next paycheck is coming from.
right.
And, they can't stick with it for a very long time. And I say, anything you try, if you keep trying, yes, you will get to that point. But if you
Yeah.
give up too early,
Yeah.
it's not going to work.
Yeah. So talk to me about, like, so the children's books are so cool. Um, how does that kind of tie in with your passions? I think it's cool to introduce children to travel at young ages, and I think that's part of your Go Eat as well, is just that, how to incorporate that into your lifestyle. But when was the inspiration for the children's books?
Yeah, this was in around 2015. I was researching a story that I was writing for another publication. And the story was about how to teach kids about different cultures and through books or products or what's out there.
Okay.
So as I was researching the story, I went to a lot of libraries, talked to parents, talked to schools, and I found that there wasn't a whole lot of material out there for kids to learn about other countries.
Right.
There would be an occasional book about a Jewish kid or a Native American kid, but there wasn't really a comprehensive series.
Yeah.
So as I was with my laptop, my cat, in my couch, thinking about what to write in the story,
Yeah.
it just all came together and said, well, we can write this story. So
Wow.
it's stories that I have already encountered of kids I have met in these countries,
Mhm.
as told through my cat, who is traveling in the books, but it's actually me who's traveling. So we have photographs, characters, and a storyline based on all travels that I've done. And
Yeah.
that's how I started the Beato Goes to series.
So cute. I love that. Well, and what a cool and fun way to tie your life in with the travel experiences, with here's what anyone can do, right? Like, I love that idea. And you're right. We learn about history from history and news. I don't think anyone, I haven't heard of anyone thinking about history through the lens of, or just current other cultures through the lens of how children experience it and what it's like being raised in those cultures. We don't really talk about other cultures until it's their traditions or adult life and what that looks like looking back, right?
Exactly.
Um, but that's so cool to be able to showcase that, and it's so important for kids, right? I mean, even when I look at my own son, when he opens his mind up and learns other things outside of, we do life the way we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's life is different. And so even just to the minor things and then to the bigger actual full culture pieces. So how important to see that. So tell everyone who's listening. 7 people listen to this podcast. I'm sure that's what I say every time. So tell the 7 people who are listening to this podcast the different books in the series and the different places that their kids can travel.
Yeah, so Beato Goes to series. It started in Greenland, and it's based on this actual character I met. Her name is Ina. I stayed on her sheep farm
Oh my
where she
gosh.
lived so remote. It was just her parents, and 200 sheep, 2 dogs, and their nearest neighbor was 40 minutes by boat going through glaciers. And she had no phone,
Yeah.
no internet, no TV, yet she spoke 5 languages and at 7 years old.
Wow.
And so I wanted to share her story with
Yeah.
in other countries and see how other kids live,
Mhm.
how they're able to be culturally intelligent
Mhm.
by even teaching themselves and having those conversations with adults.
Right.
So it starts in Greenland, and then each book is independent because when Beato goes to every country, he learns a different lesson.
Yeah.
So in Israel, he learns about living in harmony across different cultures.
Oh, for sure.
In Indonesia, it's about protecting endangered animals and their habitats.
Okay.
In Japan, he learns about respecting your elders, your teachers, your environment. And in Brazil, he likes to play outdoor sports and realizes how it's important to be outside and protect the rainforest.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. What a smart cat traveling. Wait, so when you're traveling, where does Beato go?
Well, Beato is home. He's the most well traveled indoor cat.
Okay. I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he really is. He really is. Okay, so I've had a chance to kind of look at the nonprofit part, and how that ties in, just because we had talked, we're talking a little bit about the mission of the nonprofit. And, I work with a lot of nonprofits and just love seeing how we put our passions into helping others, right? And creating that sustainability. So what's the mission of the nonprofit, and how does that tie in with the rest of your journey?
Yeah, so I started the nonprofit because my readers were reaching out to me and saying, well, you're having these very meaningful trips where you're going into communities, helping them, volunteering with them. Could you help take some donations next time you go?
Mhm.
Help us plan a trip. We would like to do something similar. And that was the birth of Go Eat Give. So the idea is you travel to a different destination, you eat, try the local food and take cooking classes, maybe go visit people in their homes and really understand how they eat, not just the restaurant
Yeah.
food,
Yeah.
then also give back to the community. So not just be a tourist where you go and take and consume,
Mhm.
but leave a positive footprint wherever you travel to.
Yeah.
So our core mission right now is sustainable tourism, getting those people to people interactions. And then whenever you travel, where maybe it's with you and your son going on a weekend getaway,
Yeah.
or you're planning your goals getaway with all your friends from college, you can still make a positive impact by
Mhm.
choosing the right kind of hotels that support the local community,
Smart. Yeah.
choosing where you're going to shop, where you're going to eat, which tour operators you're going to use. So I come in there and I curate the whole itinerary based on being as sustainable as you can with it.
Okay. That's so unique. That's really neat. I feel like that's not something any of us think about, right? Even just sustainability is as far as what companies are giving back to the place that they do
Mhm.
business and tourism. Um, what do you know, what are some things that I should be thinking about as I'm planning travel, as outside of working with you to have go eat, go eat, live, or wait, go eat,
Go eat, give
go eat.
experience.
I keep saying go eat, live because I don't know. That's just what keeps getting stuck in my head. But aside from working with you, what what should we know about traveling, even to domestic or international travel? What should we know? What should we be cognizant of if
Mhm.
we're thinking about how to be sustainable or care for the community?
So starts with Andrea looking at where is your money going. If you're booking a trip on, say, a discount wholesale platform with, say, 4 nights with all tours and hotels included,
Yeah.
it's probably not going to the people who own those hotels or the restaurants, because you have a consolidator in between who is taking big margins.
Mm-hmm.
So try to find the businesses that are locally owned
Mm.
and work with them directly. Don't have to go to stay at a brand name hotel every time.
Yeah.
Maybe find a equally luxurious boutique hotel
Yeah.
where you will have a great experience, but you will also know who the owner is, who
Yeah.
they
That's really
employ, how
right.
they built the hotel, using what materials, where the food is coming from. Maybe they have a farm on the property or adjacent to it. So it's very simple things like that.
Yeah, that's
And also when you're booking your tours, try to identify local tour operators. I work a lot with women-owned businesses because I know these are women just like us, like you and I, who have started the tourism business out of passion.
yeah.
They are not like big entrepreneurs or big businesses, but a lot of them were moms and wanted to do something that empowers them
Yeah.
and supports them financially. So I work a lot with them and I plan my tours directly with them
Yeah.
and say, here's where I want to go. And it's all curated. It's also very personal because they're going to take you to places that are not really listed online.
Really good tour, like the real tour that
Yeah.
people don't know.
Yeah.
That's very
And
cool.
similarly with your restaurant choices, avoid again chain restaurants or places where the tourists go to, but talk to locals, go to the corner streets, the neighborhoods, and have a conversation with the restaurant owner. See if they are in there in the kitchen. Ask other fellow diners, where do you like to go eat?
Yeah.
I also just post on my social media, I'm going to such and such place. I'll be in Tokyo. Who wants to meet up for lunch?
Oh,
And,
I love that.
and next thing you
That's
know,
very brave. That's so like that goes against everything that we are taught right now about being safe and not, being careful about when we travel and meeting new people. Like I feel like you are trying to revive the idea of we're all neighbors, right? And not just to like I think we lead with first be scared and then see if you can trust them.
yes,
You're like flipping that script on us and saying, "Hey, I'm going to be there and I trust you. Prove me wrong or right? I feel like that's really inspiring. That's really refreshing. I don't think that anyone is doing that, especially not women, right? I think women, we've been taught so much how to travel safely, not travel by ourselves, all those things. So it's inspiring to hear you do that confidently, but also teach us how to do that. Like that's amazing.
it's so easy now with so many platforms out there, Airbnb experiences.
Mhm.
I have done couch surfing. And similarly, I was going to Rio and I just posted on couch surfing, who wants to meet for coffee or lunch or a walk?
Yeah,
So many people.
that's
Um,
cool.
in a week, I'm still friends with them for like years later.
Wow.
Um, and it's just like having the confidence to see people. I feel like everybody inherently is good.
Yeah.
It's just that we put that lens that we don't want to see through,
Yeah.
and we put it in this bucket. Maybe they're different culture, different language, different costume, so we are not going to get along well, or we may not have anything in common. But if you break those barriers and just see from eye to eye, especially when you break bread together,
Hmm.
you feel like everybody is the same,
Yeah.
and we want the same things in life essentially.
Hmm. Yeah. We all want to live and work and play and have comfort and have our families grow strong and have ourselves grow strong. I mean, it's all of our inner dream. That's really cool. So how like how do people work with you? Do you do this a lot? Are you like a vacation planner? Like what does this look like? Now I'm curious how I plan this go eat give trip.
Yeah, so I call myself a travel consultant.
Okay.
It's just the way you would call your best friend who has been to Chile, and you're like, "How was your trip? What did you do there?"
Yep.
Here you're talking to someone who's been to 120 some countries, who's written for all national publications, and
Mhm.
has the connections on ground.
Mhm.
So you can start with just having a chat with feeling where should I go given my budget, my interests, the time of the year I'm going,
Yeah.
to having me curate your itinerary for you.
Okay.
We also do just a day by day plan that you can take if you're an independent traveler. You can just take the itinerary and go book it yourself or follow it along. Or if you need a bit more hand holding and you're like, well, you just plan everything and I want to show up in the country and then have a guide to take me around, we can do that too. So that's like a whole concierge service,
Okay.
and I have partners in almost 100 countries. So, depending on where you want to go, we can arrange for everything for you.
Yeah.
And it's like having a friend there to take
Right.
you around.
Yeah.
This is not just booking a travel
Yeah.
agent or a tour. It's literally somebody, another woman, taking you around and making sure that you have the best time there.
Everyone needs you. That's amazing. That's so cool. Okay, so aside from I need to travel with you to 120 some countries, tell me what's your favorite place?
I get that question a lot.
I know. Where, even like, where do you think for an experience, like what is the thing? Where is the place that you think everyone really, really should experience?
I think it depends on what your interests are. Some people love.
I'm gonna say that. That you have a PR answer. Give me the real answer. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Yeah, I can see that. It does kind of depend on what experience you want.
Yeah, what experience you want. Some people love nature. I send them to New Zealand. Some people love to just experience culture. India is as immersive as it can get, but
Okay.
if you want the cultural experience, but in a more Western style setting, maybe Japan could be a good starting point.
Mm,
If you want to just go back and travel in time and through history, Israel, Italy, Greece, they
yeah.
are great destinations. If you want more family friendly, more driving road trips, then I like some southern parts of Europe. So it just depends on what your interest is. That's why I don't publish even itineraries.
Yeah.
I just tell people like, let's have a conversation. Let me get to know you, what your personality is like.
Yeah. So it really is custom to the experience that you want to curate for your life, which is very much like what we believe, kind of believe and see that we all are creating our own journey and our own story, right?
Hmm.
So that's beautiful because the trip itself becomes its own personal story. You know,
Exactly.
after you're done with the trip, then it's stories and memories and all of that. I love that. Um, Okay, so a couple more things. I don't want to miss my favorite part of the chat. That's the podcast is called It's Not Just a Tuesday, and the goal is that we all have a story to tell on any given Tuesday. Something amazing is happening that is a really important part of our story, whether we acknowledge it or not. And I can't even imagine how many cool Tuesdays you've had all over and writing and everything else like that I think we could probably do a podcast every Tuesday just on all of the places you've traveled. But I would love to hear what was on your calendar last Tuesday.
Yeah, so you made me think because every day is so fast paced that you don't even think about like what you did last
That's why I
Tuesday.
do this. That's why we do this.
So I just came back from Columbus, Georgia, a road trip over Memorial Day weekend.
Okay.
I was writing some of those stories, but then also connecting with some people who I met over the years when I was speaking. Happened to be both in Vegas. I was speaking in Vegas last month about how food connects people across different cultures.
Okay.
And one of the PR folks actually drove hour and a half to come and hear my talk,
Wow.
Chris. And then we didn't get a chance to talk at the event, so she reached out and we had a call last Tuesday to talk about how we could work together potentially. And funny thing is that the same morning, I had another call with this lady, Emily, who had heard me speak in Vegas last October at another event.
Gosh.
She had reached out to see how we could work together. She's not in PR, but she wants to travel more and
Okay.
organize maybe her own retreats.
Yeah.
It's just about
Neat.
connecting, helping each other, and seeing, again, the world is much smaller
It
than we
is.
think it is.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. Well, and that's exactly what I mean about that reflection on a Tuesday. It's amazing to me how this little exercise of it's not just a Tuesdays, that schedule really does typically encompass some part of our life in a really visual way, right? You had just gotten back from a trip, you were writing, you were connecting with people, you were probably home with the cat. Like it really does tie in those pieces of our story that we forget are how they even connect sometimes because we just fill our schedule in. But I think it's that the same thing that you're saying about that traveling intentionally, right? I love the idea of taking the time to look at what we do intentionally before and after, right? Because what a great connection that you were on your calendar last October and a few months ago was Vegas. And now that led to new connections and different things. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
So tell me before we are done chatting, and I'm certain we will have lots more time to chat because I would love to um maybe have you back after your next trip or after when you're writing your next piece maybe and have you kind of just chat through what the trip looked like or what that was. I think that would be really neat. But what is something that you really wish people knew and felt more confident in? Especially, you've seen so much of the world and you've met so many people. What do you really wish we were more confident about?
I think we should definitely be more confident about making friends from other cultures.
Mm,
I think sometimes we just get stuck with our own opinions
yeah.
or not seeing other people. If we see somebody who is different from us, even say their beliefs are different, we
Hmm.
shut down
Yeah.
and we say, well, we don't have anything in common. We don't need to sit across the table and have a conversation with
Yeah.
this person. I'll give you a good example, quick story. I was on a cruise a couple of months ago. I was traveling by myself and I had dinner with this older gentleman who was traveling alone too. His wife had passed away 6 months ago,
Wow.
and he and his wife used to do this cruise all the time. So he was sitting at home for 6 months mourning. His daughter said, "You need to get out. You need to do something." So he got back on the cruise. and he was sitting with me having dinner, telling me about his story, and he almost had tears in his eyes, so I could really feel empathy for this person. And then we began to talk about what we do, our career wise. And he told me he imports guns and weapons. And,
Oh,
he's traveled to
yeah,
questionable countries around the world, and he was sharing his stories. And I could feel myself like, when you have a knot in your stomach and you're like, oh, this is something I don't believe in.
right.
But I continue this conversation, now would I just get angry or walk away or confront? And I started engaging with him. Why do you feel that you need to carry a gun all the time?
Yeah,
Have you ever used it in the 40 years that you've carried them?
yeah,
Just having those conversations on a human level, we
yeah,
became good friends. And I saw him several times during the cruise. He was helping me take photos. I saw him tipping generously to the guides, engaging with them. So, you sometimes you bucket people like maybe they're good or bad, or maybe they like me or not, just
yeah.
because of one thing.
Hmm.
But you got to really relate to people on a human level.
Yeah. That's huge. I think that's the biggest thing. You're right that only by seeing and engaging with other people and other cultures can you learn that muscle, I think, right? I think if you don't do it enough, you don't know how. And so, I love the idea of even the children's book starting at so young. Like you need to know, because then that muscle, by the time you're an adult and you're making impact and changes, it's already strong. You already know how to do it. But it's the why, is the whys are the same, right? He had a wife, he has a job, he does, he has a career, he wants things for his wife and children, he's mourning, he has loss. That's human.
Right.
And the little things that we disagree on, I mean, yes, there are other bigger things, right? But those differences that are just the way we do life differently, we do let separate us so much. That's such good advice for all of us, that find the things that are similar or ask why. I don't
Yes.
think we ask why enough with openness
Right.
to hear the answer.
You
That
said it very well.
that's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope that I'm excited to watch more of your journey and maybe plan a trip. But I hope that people feel inspired and connect with you, because I think that you have such a unique niche of seeing the world for your own pleasure, but also wanting to take that joy and teach us how to do that same thing. And I hope that flourishes and more people see that. And you're living my dream life of being a writer day and night. I mean, I get to write lots of things, so I do get the life that I have curated. But college Andrea is so jealous of you. All
Thank
right.
you, Andrea. I am blessed to be having these experiences, and I want to share it with as many people as I can, whether
Thank you.
it's through verbal storytelling or written or just helping people plan their trips. But
Yeah.
I think what you said earlier, we don't always have that opportunity to go and experience the world. So if I have been given that, I also have the responsibility to share it and
Mhm.
connect those people together.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for spending a Tuesday with me, and I hope others will be inspired. This is Andrea, and we are closing out another It's Not Just a Tuesday. Thank you.
Thank you.